I've never seen anything like this in my life. Let's try and get this swarm down from the tree. Look at that, we've got 2 beehives now in the garden. My name is Alex, and last year I decided that I wanted to try and keep bees. So I became a beekeeper. My first main challenge as a beekeeper was helping my bees get through the winter time. Bees are kind of warm weather animals, so for most of the winter when it's cold, the bees just stay inside their hive and they live off the reserves of food that they've collected throughout the previous year. But of course my bees were a very small colony. I got them at the end of last summer, and so they didn't have many stores, they didn't have much reserves. So I had to regularly top up their food throughout the winter and make sure that they had enough sugar to survive. I fed them with a mix of sugar and water. I just mixed it up, dissolved it, and then put it into a little feeder in the top of the hive. And thankfully, I can happily confirm that my bees survived the winter. I'm about to open up my beehive for the first time since last September and see what it looks like in there. I'm quite excited because I'm not really sure what to expect, but we're gonna check that they're healthy and there's still a queen bee. I have got my smoker, a hive tool, and also some other bits of equipment because my hive is very old and it's slowly falling apart. But today it's really warm and I can check the bees for the first time this year. I'm coming in, bees. So you need this thing called a hive tool because the bees create something called propolis, or they collect it from, I think, tree sap or something like that, but they use it to glue shut all the holes. So you need something like this to open it up basically. You can hear it kind of cracking open. See how they all just go down? I've got to take out these first. First frame coming out. It's so warm in there. I can feel the warmth coming off it. Ah! No, I got stung on my finger. Ow! Ow! No! That's really painful. No! That's my first sting from these bees on the first day of the year. That is incredibly painful. Why did you do that, bee? Can you see in that corner there's loads of coloured pollen? There's quite a few different colours, it's so cool. Wow, so beautiful. This is a chest cam camera, by the way, in case you're wondering what this thing is around my chest. I got stung on my finger and it really hurts. Like, it's seriously painful. It's like burning. There are so many bees in here, it's kind of crazy. I guess that's what a beehive is, right? It's a place where lots of bees are. I kind of want to be stung somewhere else to ease the pain of that place. Whoa! Look at that. They've built an awful lot of comb down near the bottom. There's so many more than last year. This one's feeling heavy. Ah, that's where they're storing the food. This frame is so heavy because it's got all the food on it. I haven't seen the queen yet, but there must be a queen here because there's so many eggs. Go away, bee. Go away. That one weighs like 2-3 kilograms. One last frame to check. And once again, it feels really heavy. Yeah, heavy with stores of honey or food that they've been storing, that I've been giving them. I'm gonna put in some new frames because there's so many bees in there that I need to give them more space. I put the new crown board on top. Can you see how my finger is bigger there? Oh well, that's all part of it, I guess. If I'm going to take their honey, they need to fight back in some way. Yeah, it's actually bleeding. Like, that's how deep the stinger can go. I was overwhelmed by what I saw. There was so much stuff to look at. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know what was healthy, what wasn't. I didn't really know much because I haven't been keeping bees that long. But there were a couple of things that I saw and I knew I had to do something about them. Firstly, I saw lots of comb that the bees had built underneath the frames. Now, when in a beehive, you've got these wooden frames and you want the bees to build all their cells along those frames. You don't want them to build them underneath or further off the side or on top. You want them to stay on the frames. But yeah, they'd built lots of comb on the underneath of the frames, and I didn't know whether I should remove it or whether removing it was a bad thing. I also saw a number of queen cells. Now, queen cells are basically the cells where a new queen is born. You've got worker cells, which are very small on the frames. Then you've got drone cells, which are the male bees that will be born, and they are slightly larger. They have a little lump on the outside. And then you've got the queen cells, which are the largest of the cells, and this is where a new queen will be born. Now, I know that you can only have one queen in a colony of bees, so I had a feeling I would have to do something about this. The next day I went out into the garden to have a look at the bees, and I saw something pretty exciting. I've just noticed so many bees outside. Goodness, there's bees everywhere. They must be swarming, right? I want to know what they're doing. They seem like they're on a mission to do something. Yeah, I think they're swarming. As I watched them over the next half an hour, they didn't end up moving anywhere. They sort of just slowly went back to the hive. I was very confused by this. I don't get it. The bees just have suddenly calmed down. Like 5 minutes ago there were bees like all around, and then suddenly they're acting like normal again. I don't know what just happened. I would describe it as like a half swarm. It's almost like they thought about swarming and then didn't. It's very strange. After getting a bit of info from some local beekeepers, I learned that the main thing I needed to do right now was give the bees some more space. The bees had just filled up the box completely. There was no more space for them to lay eggs. There was no more space for them to store honey. They needed more room. This will explain why they'd built the comb underneath of the frames, because they'd run out of space to build more comb. And also it'll explain why they had created a lot of these queen cells, also called swarm cells, because they were planning on swarming soon. So I picked up some equipment from the local bee shop and started putting together more wooden frames for an extra box that was about to go on top of the hive. So on a beehive, you've got the bottom box called the brood box. This is where the queen is. This is where the queen lays all her eggs and the brood are raised. And then the box that I was making up was to go on top of this one, what is called a honey super. Now that is just simply a box where the honey will be stored. I've got a box full of wood, some of this which is called foundation. It's basically wax, and these are going to be used to make frames that the honey will be made on. It's like putting together an IKEA flat pack furniture set. There's one frame. This will be full of honey, hopefully. Frames. By putting this box on top, it would allow lots of the bees to go up and start drawing out the comb on these frames, and basically it would just give them a lot more space. So we're going to put this on, which is a queen excluder, and only the worker bees can go through this gap. There's small holes in this board. On top of that, we can put the new frames. A few days later, I was lucky enough to have a visit from a local beekeeper, and I hoped he could give me some info and make me feel a little bit more confident with what I was seeing and what I needed to do next. We opened up the hive, and what we saw were a lot of queen cells. So the bees were definitely planning on creating a new queen so that they could swarm and create another colony of bees. So what exactly is swarming? Well, most animals, you get two of them, a male and a female, they mate, and then you get another animal. In a beehive, you've of course got the queen bee, which mates with the drones, the male bees, and they make lots of bees within the hive, but then you've got actual colony reproduction, which is where a colony of bees actually divides and splits into two. So within the hive on the frames, the bees create queen cells for a new queen to be born, and then once the queen cell is capped over and ready to have a new queen bee being born, the old queen of the colony, the original queen, plus a load of the bees that are flying, go out of the hive and they find a new home. Meanwhile, in the original hive, a new queen will be born. It will go out and mate with drones and then come back and keep that colony and that hive going. So in simple terms, swarming is how a colony of bees divides and reproduces. Now, as a beekeeper, you don't want really to let them swarm. You want to control it. If you just leave the bees to it, they will eventually create a new queen. The old queen will fly off and find a new home, and you will lose them forever. And if you can catch them or use a controlled method of swarming, then it means you can divide your one colony into multiple. So what did we do about all these queen cells? Because we had to do something. We went through frame by frame and actually destroyed every single queen cell we saw. This might sound destructive, but all it was doing was delaying the swarming process. I didn't have any equipment to have a new beehive at the moment. I didn't have anything ready to get going with that. And it would have been a matter of days before they swarmed and I would have lost them. So we were basically buying ourselves time by removing all the queen cells we found, because the bees will only swarm once they have a queen cell which is ready for a new queen to hatch out of. Over the next few days, I was told that if they want to swarm for definite, they will then create more of those queen cells and be making a move to make another queen. Lastly, we took the beehive and we moved it a couple of feet to the right, basically just to create space for a new beehive which was going to be just to the left of it. So you can do something called an artificial swarm. An artificial swarm is basically where you take the old queen of the colony, put it into a new box with a load of the other bees, and make them basically think that they've swarmed. You're splitting the old queen with the original hive where the new queen will be born, and you're making them think, you're making them feel like they've just swarmed and they've found a new home. And so you don't have the disaster or the mess of loads of bees swarming around your garden or in someone else's garden or in your chimney or anywhere else where you don't want them, because swarming bees can cause a little bit of havoc, I've heard. So an artificial swarm is basically just a controlled method of splitting up the hive when the bees are planning on swarming. So this was my plan. I bought some new equipment. My honey making business is expanding. I just bought a new hive. My car is a multi-purpose transport vehicle, sometimes used for sleeping in, sometimes used as a passenger vehicle, and also used to drive beekeeping equipment around. It's important to sterilize new equipment because you don't want any diseases being brought in. So I just used a blowtorch and went over the whole thing, killing everything off so that it was all sterilized. I'm just getting ready for the new colony of bees. I've just made up 12 of these frames. Getting ready for the swarm control. So the day came. My plan today was to do an artificial swarm. I was really nervous. I didn't want to get anything wrong. There was a process you need to go through to make this work, and I was pretty worried. And then I looked in the garden that morning and I became even more worried because I was too late to the bees. They had already decided to swarm. The bees are swarming, the bees are swarming. Oh dear. We want to catch the swarm, we don't want to lose them, and they could at any time fly away and choose somewhere else to live. This box is ready to put bees in. I'm also going to need this box here. There are so many bees. Oh, we could use this scaffolding to get high enough. Well, that's going to be impossible to move. A saw, this ladder. Okay, so the bees are up there. I think we should be able to do this. We're going to attempt to catch a swarm out of a tree with a ladder and a saw and a box. Okay, here goes. Oh my goodness. I've never seen anything like this in my life. So what we're gonna have to do is cut the branch and try and bring them down and hope that the queen is in the middle of them. And then we're gonna put it into that box just there. There's bees all over me. That's a swarm of bees in the tree. I gotta try and get them down and put them in the box. I'm not wearing a bee suit, Alex is. And he's telling me to film the bees whilst they swarm. There's literally bees everywhere right now and they look really angry. And I'm hoping I don't end up getting stung. I think if I cut there, then I'll get the whole lot down. I have never seen anything like this in my life. So that's the main bunch of bees. This is the new box. That's gonna go next to the other one. Oh my god, I just felt one go on my face. Wait, so you're gonna end up with 2 beehives? Well, there's obviously a new queen being born in there, and then there's my old queen should be inside that, the one with the white dot on it. Oh no, Alex, they're going over there. Where? Yeah, there's loads there as well, which means the queen might be there. So I'm gonna try and just get as many of them in here as possible. Are you kidding? Surely that's gonna make them go crazy. No, it's fine. So now there's loads here. I don't know, maybe the queen's on that. There's still a few up there. I'm just gonna get as many of them as I can. Okay. Oh, that's the queen! I see it! I see it! It's in the box. It's right here. The one with the white dot. The one that was originally in that hive is just here. Do you see it? Just there. That's the queen. That's where all of these bees are trying to get to. Yep, she's on my finger. She's in the new hive. Okay, now hopefully she stays there and chooses to call that a home. That's the one that I saw in that box only a few days ago. That's crazy. That's mad. When I first started beekeeping, my idea I had in my head of it was that, I'll have some nice looking beehives in the corner of the garden, they'll pollinate the flowers, I'll go out once a year, collect a load of honey, put it on my toast in the morning, and simple as that. I certainly didn't have in mind that it would end up with me up a ladder trying to catch a massive ball of bees and put them into a new box. I sure didn't expect that. Oh wow. You have a load of bees on your head. I know. They're just on your head. At this point, I think if I even got stung, I wouldn't feel it because of the adrenaline. Well, you're the one wearing a massive suit, Alex. Yeah, I probably won't get stung. I'm stood here with a t-shirt, terrified, yeah, absolutely terrified. You're actually doing a better job of staying calm than I am, and you haven't even got a suit. And I'm allergic to bee stings. And you're allergic to bees, yeah. Probably possibly the worst place for me to be right now. There's still quite a lot up that tree. I'm not sure why there's so many up there. Whoa, there were an awful lot up there. This is mad. I don't know exactly what you're meant to do, but because they haven't got any food or anything in there, I'm going to take out a frame of food from here and also a frame of open cells where the queen can start laying eggs. Because that's what you do when you do an artificial swarm. You give the queen somewhere to lay eggs in the new box and also some food. So I'm going to attempt that. Now this hive currently doesn't have a queen, I wouldn't have thought, because they're currently in the process of making a new one. Okay, so this frame I think I will put in the new hive. There's no queen cells on it. There's lots of space for the queen to lay. I'm going to replace it with a new frame on the end. There's no queen cells on there, so this frame will also go into this hive, so they've got food. One just there. Another one just there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this frame, if we remember correctly, should have the queen cell. Yeah. So that is a capped queen cell. So that's where the new queen will hatch out from. That was the most stressful day's beekeeping I've ever had. I don't know if this is helping, but I'm trying to get them to go into the hive. All these other ones that I haven't managed to catch. Yeah, that's it. Go into your new home. Honestly, go in there, you'll have a good life. Yeah, that's it. Follow each other. That is one of the, or 2 queen cells that I took out. I believe I had to take out all of them but one so that they don't send off another swarm. I think that's me done for the day. I just messaged a local beekeeper, told him what I did, and I'll see whether he thinks it was the right thing to do or not. Honestly, I read some books about it and I kind of thought, I kind of got the gist of what you need to do, but I don't know if I did everything correct. So we shall see. I'm gonna leave them to it for now, and hopefully the swarms stay in the new box and don't decide to leave. Wow, that was fun. I'll just run you through how Alex's apiary looks at the moment, because we've got 2 beehives now. The one on the right is the original one. There are a lot of bees flying in there. I think most of the bees, when they swarmed, they stayed in that hive, because looking at the entrance of hive number 2 on the left, there's a lot less flying out of there. In hive number 1, we are currently waiting for a new queen to be born. Once the queen is born, then it will fly out, mate with male bees in the local area, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that colony will be good. And then on the left-hand hive, we have the queen bee, which was previously in the right-hand box. So the one on the left is the swarm that I caught out of the tree, and I'm pretty happy. They decided to stay and they seem pretty good. Who knows where this beekeeping adventure will lead me next? I'm hoping that the next episode will be me harvesting some honey. If I end up getting any honey this year, let me know in the comments below if you'd like to have some, because I think it'd be quite cool to share it with the viewers of this channel. But yeah, thanks for watching my beekeeping journey so far. It's been a flippin' exciting one. I will catch you next time. See ya.